We all know I Can Around Here, but that was several years ago. This music was recorded, I think, in about 1990, 91, something like that. Isn't it wonderful how God, you do something for the Lord, and even years later, it can be used for God's kingdom. And that's the way we are in our life, you know. We do something, and even years later, the Lord uses it to bless someone or to have someone to accept Christ.
That's correct.
Now, we have Dr. Larry Manley. So, Dr. Manley, I will ask you to give us a little bit about your background. Were you raised in a Christian home?
Yes, ma'am, I was. I was raised in a Christian home in the country in Seneca, South Carolina.
Okay.
And during that time, I always said I didn't want to be poor.
Yeah.
You know, like I came up.
Right.
And it led me into a life of crime early, because I left home about 13.
And you wanted the quick dollars.
I wanted the quick dollars.
At 13?
Well, at 13, I actually worked.
Uh-huh.
But I learned how to hustle then, but I was hustling legally.
Yeah.
But as I got older, and I went into the military at age 17, and what happened was when I went in at age 17, my friend died in boot camp, and I had to bring his body home.
Oh, wow.
And that had an effect on me to a point where I guess I had a chip on my shoulder against the government. And
why did he die?
He died of spinal meningitis in boot camp.
Oh, okay. I didn't know whether he had a heat stroke, or a lot of times when they're in boot camp, they'll have to go through so much, and it's hot.
No,
so he had spinal meningitis.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you had to bring his body home.
Because we went in on the buddy plan.
Yeah.
And when I got out, out of the military, it kind of started then. You know, I moved to Philadelphia, and I got involved with. That's why when I think his name was Brother Ellis, Pastor Ellis, we were just talking.
Yeah.
I could understand.
You could relate with him.
Yes, I could relate with him. Even though when I left and I went to Philadelphia, and I got in music school at Granoff School of Music. That's at 18th and Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. But I was also involved I began dealing drugs and running a pipeline all the way down from Philadelphia all the way down through Charlotte, Atlanta, South Carolina.
How do you meet people to get into drugs? You were in the military, but then you moved up there. Did you know someone when you moved to Philadelphia?
No, I didn't know anybody.
You just went.
I just went. Me and a friend of mine went.
Yeah.
He had a brother up there that was married, and I think I stayed with him 3 weeks, and then I was out on my own.
Yeah. Here I come, world, look out.
Look out.
That's about what happened, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am. It was a rough situation.
So you met people, but the devil always has someone there, doesn't he?
Yes, ma'am.
And the Lord does too, but sometimes we don't see that person, but we seem like we grasp.
It seems like we grasping onto the negative.
Evil. Yeah.
Human
nature, I guess.
Human
nature. What you say?
That's exactly what it is, human nature. And the sin that's already engrossed in us. And it doesn't take much. It's one thing I know about man. Man is attracted to, because man is made from the dust of the ground. Man, if you ever think about it, he's attracted to everything that comes out the earth. Cars, the material for cars come out the earth. The material for money comes out the earth. The material even for the gold comes out the earth. The things that we want the most before we really get into God, it all comes out the earth where we came from as far as our physical nature, So it's a dynamic pull between the spirit and the flesh.
Yeah. And God created them for us, but a lot of times we turn it in the wrong way, don't we?
Because of sin, our sin nature causes it to be like that. We don't understand the devastating effect of sin on our life. So what we do is that we play with things that we shouldn't play with. Paul told us to touch not, taste not, and handle not, because all the uses thereof perish at the usage thereof. So that's what happens.
Right.
We get involved in things, and sin always takes you further than you want to go.
That's right, and it won't turn you loose.
It will not turn you loose.
Now, when you got involved in the drug situation and all that, how long was it before you got arrested?
When I came back down south to live.
We got you, did they?
Yeah, what happened was you can't do in a small town what you did in a big cities.
Yeah.
So, I slowly...
But you were trying to do that in your town.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, the flashy cars, the brand new customized cars, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was really setting me up for disaster, because, to make a long story short, because we got so much to cover, I basically done about 28 years in federal penitentiaries.
Wow. Yeah.
From everything from drug dealing to bank robberies. I mean, heavyweight stuff. Very.
When the devil
very
got you, he got you, didn't he?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
And but during that whole time, I kept studying. During that whole time, I got my doctorate while I was in federal prison, and then I got reordained in 2006 through Universal Progressive Life. But my first ordination came through the End Time Harvest of Europe, where I was taking correspondence courses while I was in Terre Haute, Indiana, at the federal pen out there. I spent 5 years straight out there. That's after I left the Atlanta Federal Pen, and then I was at Lewisburg Federal Pen, and then I went to various ones, about 13 of them in all. That's just federal, not state.
Yeah.
And it was all because of greed and drugs, and I became addicted to drugs, became homeless. It was just a tragedy for a long time in my life. It was a tragedy, but what God did was, during that whole time, God continued to be with me. There are times when I knew that bullets were coming my way, but I can even remember one time that I reached down. I was in this drug house, and I reached down to pick something off the floor. And right when I reached down, a shotgun blast hit right where my head would have been. So it didn't get. I reached down. But I'm just saying how God
He protected you in that
protects,
second.
and that's not the first time. It's been 2 or 3 different situations, and they were always headshots.
Yeah.
But God was always there with me, and as I look back over it,
He had a purpose.
He had a purpose, and it's true, where much is given, much is required.
I say that a lot of times.
But it's true. If the further God brings you up, the further you go down, more likely when you get attached to God and He gets attached to you, the further you will be able to go up.
Wow.
And people won't be able to understand where you are with this thing, because you're dealing with a spirit of excellence, and just anything just won't do.
Yeah.
Because God didn't send just anything to us.
Right.
God sent His only begotten Son, the best that He had. He sent it to us, and He sent it to us out of love. And His Son did what He did for us out of love.
Sure, He did. Yes.
But it wasn't willfully, but it was out of love. See, a lot of us think love is a feeling, but love is a commitment. That's what love is. Love is commitment. Are you committed to doing what's necessary to be done?
Yeah.
So He was committed to doing what the Father had asked Him to do.
Yeah.
And that was to come down, take off His robe, come down, die like a man. So.
Well, during all this time in prison, when did you meet Brenda over there?
In prison, I was in Spartanburg. I was in a prison at Spartanburg the last time.
Why did you get into prison so many times? Was it not just all one time? You just come out, then you get into something else and have to go back?
Look, it's like
I'm
this.
sorry. I'm just
horses,
curious.
Look, let me just tell you. All horses, some horses are harder to break than others.
Yeah.
But all horses can be broken. I'll just put it like that. So, at this last time, after I was 3.5 years homeless, over here in Anderson, South Carolina, and eating out of trash cans.
Oh my!
I mean, just doing, it was bad. I was on 7 days, 24 hours a day on drugs, homeless. I mean, just bad situation. Had become a victim of my own product. And what happened is that God was speaking to me through what I call the Nebuchadnezzar experience. Some people have the Jonah experience.
Yeah.
Some people have the Nebuchadnezzar experience. That's the big one.
Explain that one too.
The Nebuchadnezzar experience is where you go through 7 seasons, 7 years of being out there like a wild beast.
Yeah.
And when you come up off of it, you realize that God is God and you're ready to do it His way. And that's something that I don't advise anybody to have to go through.
Turn around before you get that far.
Yeah, you don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us go through a Jonah
Yeah,
experience.
now I've heard that one.
But going through a Nebuchadnezzar experience is something that you really don't want to, nor do you have to get involved with.
But it sounds like you did.
I did, and because I continue to want to go against God's wishes in my life.
And you wanted to call all the shots. And we have to, like you said, we have to commit.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to commit to God and God's plan.
That's right. So what happened was in 2000 I got busted and I got 30-month sentence that I had to do. And during that time I was over here at, it's amazing how God works, because He took me and I was at Broad River.
Yeah.
That's where in Columbia, that's where they send everybody.
Yeah, Ms. Thompson, I used to go with her. Sometimes we'd go down there and talk to people and do ministry.
Yeah, we minister. I go in and preach. Brenda and I go in and preach at Kirkland, and we also go in and preach to death row inmates at Lever Correction. So we deal with that also.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I was about to get on the bus. I was the last one to get on the bus to go to another place, Walter Reed, a place called Walter Reed, and they took me off the bus and said, "Your papers aren't finished yet." And I had to stay down there 3 more weeks, and they rerouted me to Spartanburg. But see, that was God's plan all the time, because she's from Spartanburg, and that's how I met her.
Yeah.
And she was coming in at that time at Northside to minister. And during that time, you know, God had, He gave me a vision that He would be sending me. My wife gave me her name and everything.
You are kidding.
No, ma'am, I'm telling you the truth.
Wow.
And a couple of days later, she came, and when I found out what her name was on her Bible. It was on her Bible.
Yeah.
You know, when I looked over it, I saw it. And so, you know, it all went from there. And from there, you know, we're doing world ministry. Now, I've been doing world ministry. We've moved about, I think, over 800 tons of food, medicine, and supplies around the world. The House of Destiny is known in a lot of places around the world right now. You know, we started up a small assembly here. That's our little sibling in Spartanburg.
Right. Well, we want to talk about that, but let's get her in the picture before we do. Okay, Brenda.